you guys sharing all of that of your fears and how, and each person has their own kind of decision to make in that, and to hear someone say, I didn't want to go, or I don't want to go but I still go, or I'm not sure about this. Yes, that's real talk. And I think, that's not covered in the news. It's just, this is what we're supposed to do, but acknowledging that each one of you have feelings and you're making decisions not just for yourself but often for your family members, right? Because
Yeah,
each of you have that. Go ahead, Cortland.
I was just going to say, I think for me, that was the immediate reaction, and the height of my anxiety was, contracting the virus and bringing it home. Um, I think even now there's just a concern of, wait, I know I say I love teaching, and to this day, even today, I posted the fact that I love teaching, but do I love it to the point of risking my life? So again, you never think that you would have to process this type of thinking in the profession that you're in as an educator. And I think one thing that comes to my mind, Shauna, because Shauna is someone who listens to me, who lends an ear when I need to verbalize how I'm feeling, a great friend in that regard. And so I am one who respects how others feel. Shauna and I talk a lot about how important it is to be able to verbalize how you're feeling. And even as proponents of faith, how you feel is as critical and essential in your own personal growth and development as any other aspect. And how can we talk about social emotional learning and teaching our kids to cope if teachers are just being told to not focus on how they feel, to not think about how you feel? We need you here for the kids. I find it difficult for an educator to just put aside everything that they're being impacted by and effectively be present for children going through emotional challenges.
Wow.
I just find that difficult to be able to do.
Cortland, I'm curious because, everybody can only speak of their experience. I want to give our panel an opportunity. What supports would you say, since we're all coming from different places, have there been supports provided to you as teacher that acknowledge the fact that, when we talk about social emotional, that you've got those too? What supports are helping you during this time, if any?
From an administration perspective, I know there's the emails that come out and like, take care of yourself and get some rest. I think the emotional support more so has been on my end, making sure that I'm taking care of me and I'm still being a human outside of teaching and not boxing myself into teaching. For the social emotional aspect, though, I think it's important with the kids, and an aspect for the children is the empathy portion. And I know every educator on this panel right now gets it, and I don't have to preach it to anybody, but letting them know, like, this is hard for me too. And I think that them seeing an adult be level with them, be like, no, like, I'm not going to put on a pretty face and be like, this is fun, this is fine. But letting them know, like, I'm struggling too. This is not fun for me either. I'm having a hard time. I think that empathy goes much further than sometimes people think it does.
Absolutely. That, I'm glad you said that. And just, because when you talk about relationships are really about that level of authenticity that we demonstrate towards our students. And so they probably appreciate those days when, they're like, you know what? It's not just me who's struggling. My teacher's also struggling as well. So thank you for that. Mr. Thompson, what about you? Any social emotional support do you see around, hey, we realize this is tough for you as behavior specialists coming back, what do you see?
Well, not as much as we probably need. We're actually working through a community series now in terms of on Tuesdays and Thursdays, working with staff about restorative practices with special education students. And this is often becomes a venue for educators to really talk about how this is going to play out for them, because I think, as Cortland was saying a few seconds ago, is the fact that they're real emotions, they're real feelings that people have. And I think when we discount any of them, we've done a great disservice to the whole community, because it's kind of hard to teach with preconceived notions. And actually about 3 weeks ago, we did a whole series on implicit biases. And this is what can actually support these biases when people are trying to examine the home conditions and who might give them COVID and who might not give them COVID. So I'm usually the one in the meetings that become that emotional pillow and try to make sure that I have everybody being sensitive to everyone's feelings, because it's so often we'll hear, well, we just got to go back and, we're going to be all right. But yet, if I have inherent fear, that's going to maybe put me back, but not put me back at my best. And we know teaching is a very frayed and haphazard kind of position. The day that you create the best lesson plan that you ever thought you did, you get that one or two kids that'll bring their stuff in and mess up your whole day, but you still have to teach. And so this is something that I see like this. And, I think we've seen notices about, how you can get counseling, but I just don't think that we've had enough resources available to meet the social, emotional needs of the staff.
There's a quote, Cortland, and you might remember it, that Cortland and I used to do training together, and it said, if you don't feed the teachers, they will eat the children.
Yeah.
And, do you remember that one?
I remember that. Yes.
And so even, emotionally feeding and taking care of making sure that the teachers do that. And as someone who does professional development, like you, Mr. Thompson, I had a professional tell me, I don't need another workshop on self-care. I don't need one. I need the space to actually do it.
There you go. Good point.
Yeah. Cortland, what about you? I know, since you'll be heading back into the building as well, what do you see as far as supports when it comes to emotional, social, and then Simone, if you get there, come on back in. We want you to join us. What are you seeing?
I would say for me, real quickly, my personal need in making sure I'm doing what I can to be in a positive mindset, frame of mind, learning how to accept what's out of my control and be aware of how I feel and what can I do on a daily basis to just address how I'm feeling, even if it's talking to someone as I would with you or others, or journaling. Journaling is a practice I continue to this day that I think is very helpful for me. And then at the same time, being able to share that advice or tip or strategy with other colleagues, as I also do with my students. But that is the thing that comes to mind most and first.
There's a level of resilience that we all have probably had to develop over this last year. Just because, the amount of stress that has come at us from so many different ways, I think it's imperative that the adults, if we're going to support kids, that we find that level of resilience. And so we're going to be talking about shortly some of those strategies, some of those things that we do to be able to create a level of resilience for ourselves so that we can for students. But you're right, it absolutely starts with the adults. So, Cortland, I think this is a good time to go ahead and take our first break here, because what do you think? I think we're going to be able to get into some things that are helping. We've talked about some of the emotions, some things that are really helping these amazing teachers who are on our panel prepare for or continue with the in-person or hybrid learning. What do you think?
Oh, definitely. And just as a side note, real quick, I just want to acknowledge I had the privilege of meeting Elizabeth on Instagram at Mrs. P Teaches 3. At Mrs. P Teaches 3. And one of the blessings or benefits I have experienced coming out of this pandemic was the connections made. So, yes, I'm looking forward to hearing more about what's going to be shared. We want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you can stay with us. We have some great information that's going to come up in the second half of this show. Village Talk, where we highlight the voices and views of the community.
feature your business with a full or half-page ad in an upcoming issue of Vision and Purpose Lifestyle Magazine. Advertise your business, book, or event and reach potential clients. Vision and Purpose Lifestyle Magazine covers and features stories in business and entrepreneurship, education, performing arts, sports, community outreach, fashion, travel and real estate, health and wellness, and more. Contact us at info@vnpmagazine.com, or you can reach out to our Director of Sales, Ms. Karen McConnell Jones, at 202-904-1000. Vision and Purpose, inspiring our community.
All right, man, this has been a great show so far. Shauna, I'm sure you have been enjoying this experience as I have. And
it's real talk. It's real talk.
I mean, it's not often you get a chance to really hear teachers talking about how they feel. Well, that's not true. I guess we do in our own way. We hear teachers talking about how they feel.
Maybe it's teacher lounge talk. Is this teachers lounge talk?
That's it. The teachers lounge talk. That is it in a nutshell. But this is real stuff. This is real talk, as they would say. Mm-hmm. And we had the privilege of another one of our colleagues in the profession joining us. So we want to make sure they get the opportunity. So Gary, if you would tell us your name, what state you teach in, grade and content, and how many years?
Thank you so much, Cortland. I'm Gary Hughes. I teach in the state of Maryland. I currently teach high school English, and this year in particular, 12th grade. And I've been teaching for 21 years, believe it or not.
Wow, we got some serious knowledge on this panel here. I'm about to count up all the years we got on here. Come on, y'all. He got some experts.
Yeah, like my first day was 3 years ago, but it's been 21 years.
Well, we've been talking, Gary, about the return to in-person learning, in-person teaching and learning. We have people on the panel who are in different places in that. And we want to just quickly give you an opportunity to share, where you are with that, and then how are you feeling about that? Tell us about, your situation. What's your district doing as far as hybrid or returning to the classroom? And then how are you feeling about that? How do you feel about it?
Oh, thank you, Shauna. So I'm feeling torn. I guess because I really would love to see students, even though most of them have told me they're not going to come back. I have seniors, and their quote is, "Mr. Hughes, it's no point." That's their quote, because when we come back, they will only be there for 4 more weeks. So I would like to see them, but they're not. Most of them won't be there. But to answer your question, so we will be doing Monday and Tuesday. We'll telework from home on Wednesdays, and we'll do Thursdays and Fridays. The alphabets, the first part of the alphabet will be on what we call our A day, and then the second part will be on our B day. I really don't want to go back at this point because we've been out so long. So I feel like we can just ride this out at home. I mean, I enjoy teaching with my sweatpants on, so I don't ever have to put shoes on. But I don't really want to go back because I just feel like at this point, there are not a lot of precautions in place, and there are still some questions as to what things are going to look like here in Prince George's County Public Schools. I want to be safe. I do visit my father who has underlying issues. I did have my first COVID shot last week, vaccine shot. So that was good. That went well. But at this point in the school year, since we're almost done, I just feel like let's just stay home and just get ready for September, especially since we don't have the best protocols in place. But I would like to see students because they don't have the high school seniors don't have their cameras on, and we can't make them put their cameras on. So I almost really feel like I don't know them. So I'm torn.